Manager. And just in case you didn't know it, this meeting is being recorded. A copy will be sent to everyone at the conclusion of this meeting. I am so excited. You are here for communication, identifying and adapting to behavioral styles. And I have a bio to read for Maureen Barnes. I'd like to just say, skip the bio and say this is one of the greatest presenters I've ever seen in my life. But I'm going to go ahead and read the bio for you. Maureen Barnes is a passionate learning and leadership facilitator who loves helping people develop their careers. With many years of experience in banking, finance, and retail, she's worked with everyone from brand new hires to senior leaders, always focused on making learning practical, engaging, and easy to apply on the job. Maureen is known for creating a supportive, interactive environment where people feel comfortable asking questions, trying new skills, and stretching beyond their comfort zones. Whether she's leading a classroom session, facilitating virtually, or coaching one on one, Maureen brings warmth, clarity, and real world insight to every engagement. Her background in instructional design, project management, and leadership development allows her to tailor training that truly meets people where they are. Today, through her work with Laurel Ridge Community College, Maureen partners with organizations to build stronger leaders, better teams, and better results. We are all in for a real treat today with Maureen. So, with that being said, Maureen, the floor is yours.
Hey, thank you, Jay. How's my voice? Anybody want to give me a voice check here? Make sure I'm coming across. There we go. Beautiful. Thank you, Jay, for that warm introduction. It's my pleasure to be here this afternoon. And that's exactly what we're talking about, communication and identifying and adapting to behavioral styles. So as we start to look at this and say, okay, what is next? What's coming up? We've got a few objectives and we've got a little bit of technical difficulties along with it. So bear with me just a second and we're going to see if we can get these slides here to start rolling. There we go. So our course objectives, we're going to identify our own behavioral style as well as the four behavioral styles. We'll look at communication within these styles.
Maybe that's what.
I'm sorry. Okay, we may not have been muted, no problem. But then we'll explore communication within those styles, and then you'll identify your own as well as others, because once we identify other communication styles, then we can discover ways to improve that communication. So research has shown us that people communicate, think, and behave predictably different. And it's because of these differences that we must respect and adapt to other people's personality styles. By doing that, that in turn increases our effectiveness in communication. So growing up, you may have heard the platinum rule or the golden rule, rather. Today's course is about the platinum rule, but we're going to hear about the golden rule. So when it comes to the golden rule, you can type in chat. If you've heard the golden rule, type in chat. What's the golden rule? Let's see who he's got it. We got a few people coming in. So the golden rule, right? The golden rule. Do unto others as others would have done unto you, right? So yeah, respect, treat. Okay, right? So that whole do unto others. Yep, as you would have others do unto you. Perfect. And that's exactly it. Thank you very much. And Tanya, you wrote in, what is the platinum rule? We're going to be talking about, and you gave the answer for that. It's treat others the way that they want to be treated. So the golden rule, do unto others as we have others do unto you. Today's course is about the platinum rule by Dr. Tony Alessandra, and he has written a book called exactly that, The Platinum Rule. And that's what it says, treat others the way that they would want to be treated. So you were close there. So treat others the way that they want to be treated. So if I start treating people the way that they want to be treated, then I'm going to become more effective. I'll be get more work out of them and we'll have a more productive work environment. Now, people usually tell us how to interact with them. You know, they don't give us a rule book or anything like that, but we have to pay attention. We have to listen to what they're saying and what they do. So by doing that, we pay attention to their vocals. What are they saying? Right? What are the words coming out of their mouth, like in rush hour, right? Do you understand the words coming out of my mouth? Right? Vocal, the inflections. So think about our inflections with just the word great. We can go great, or we can go, yeah, great. All right, two totally different reactions. The inflection was totally different, and they both have different meanings. So we have to be aware of those. And then we look at body language. What is their body language is saying to us? Right? What is their body language saying? What are they really telling us? So as we look and we start thinking about all of these behavioral styles, let's start thinking about just simple winning. When you think about winning, you know, the four different styles all have a different way. So I want you to think of the statement of winning and look at these phrases and see which one you would fall into. So when it comes to winning, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. All right. But then you have, it's not whether you win or lose, it's the teamwork, it's the friendships that count. Right? Or it could be, it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you look when you play the game. Right? It tells us another style. And it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. So, statement matches a way a particular behavioral style thinks about winning. So we know that in today's environment that there's more than a dozen varied concepts on behavioral differences. But they all have one thing in common. They have four quadrants, right? They have four different styles. And we see that in a lot of not only behavioral assessments, but also personality types, personality assessments. So our lesson also has four quadrants. And we're going to dive into those and we'll look at those. So as I start to describe the characteristics of each quadrant, I want you to think about, does this sound like me? Hmm, that's the person sitting next to me. Oh, that's my boss. This is my spouse, my kids. Everyone has their own different behavioral style. And that's what we're talking about. We're talking about behavior. So as we describe those, I want you to think about you, but I want you to think about you specifically at work. How are you interacting with your cohorts at work, with your bosses, with clients, all of that? How do we get along? So let's break these quadrants down. The top two quadrants are all about being supportive. This is a supportive style. So if you find yourself in more of a open about your feelings, you're open with yourself and with others, then you would find yourself in one of the top two quadrants. Now, let's figure that out. Are you control or guarded? So we look at control or guarded on the bottom two quadrants. So do you find yourself in positions more of control, where you'd like to be in control, control of yourself, control of situations? Are your feelings guarded? Do you play yourself close, keep your feelings close to the chest? Right. So we've looked at those two. Now I want you to decide, where would you place yourself? Just with those vague descriptions, where would you find yourself? Top or bottom? And you can write it down. You can write that I'm more supportive or I'm more controlling. So take just a second, write down where you find yourself. If you haven't pinpointed yourself quite yet, it's okay. We're going to continue on and we'll look at them even more. Because when we look at these tendencies, if we find people that we like, we'll say, they're really like me. I can get along with that. Whereas if we have people that are different than us or we perceive them as different, we may say, they're really difficult to work with. I don't know if I could, be on a project with them. So let's continue on and let's look at these quadrants. Okay. I'm going to go back just a second here and give you a little bit more descriptors. So let's go back up to the top here of the supportive and open. While you're making the decision if you're supportive or open, these people we would describe as relaxed. They're warm, they're responsive, they're informal, they're very personable. Okay. They tend to be relationship oriented. They want to build the relationship first with you before they get into business. Okay. In conversation with others, these supporting individuals, they share personal feelings. I'm going to tell you how I feel. Like, whether you like it or not, I'm sharing my feelings. Okay. They like to tell stories, anecdote. They use general terminology. Their thoughts just roll out of their mouth. And sometimes we leave the conversation going, what did we just talk about? Right? It was all about feelings. They tend to be flexible with their time based on their decisions, their intuition, and their feelings. Yeah, they don't base a lot of their decision on facts or data. Right? They're going on their gut instincts. And they'll jump from one topic to another. Sometimes you'll see them jumping from one topic, then to the next, and then back. And they typically behave dramatically, and they'll give immediate nonverbal feedback. Okay, so there's a little bit more about that supportive and open as you're deciding which way do you go and where do you fit in. Okay, so now when we look at that control and guarded, they're usually seen as formal, they're proper. They do not show their feelings or emotions readily or willingly. Okay, they're hard to read. They have limited body language, sometimes to the extreme. These are the people with a poker face, right? You don't know the cards they're holding in their hand, right? They tend to follow the letter of the law. It's black, it's white, right? They're following the letter of the law. They base their decisions, fact, data. They will put it in writing. Okay. They tend to be task oriented. They're disciplined in their time. So great time management. They're disciplined in that. And now, in contrast to the supportive and opening people, they tend to hold back their feelings in the presence of others. And they don't like to socialize. They are not schmoozers. So, in chat, what do you think that this control guarded group really wants you to do? What do they want you to do? What do you think? Okay. Well, these people, figure it out on your own. I like that, Melanie. Follow the rules. Yep, we're right there. When do they want it done? When do you think they want it done? Oh, toe the line, follow rules. Beautiful. Liking that. Liking that, Patty. Okay. Strict deadlines. Yep, they love deadlines. You're absolutely right. They do. They do love deadlines. So they really do. And they want you to get to the point, right? Get to the point. This is the group, be brief, be bright, be gone. Okay, so this is where they want to go. Great answers. Thank you all. I appreciate that. All right. So now that you've heard more about those two groups, you may have a better opportunity to say, you know what, I may have originally thought I was supportive and open, but now I think I'm more control or guarded, or vice versa. So if you want to change the answer you wrote down, go ahead. So are you supportive and open, control or guarded? And you don't have to share. You're just writing it down. All right. Now, let's look at the other parts of these quadrants here. On the right-hand side here, on the right-hand side, we're going to look at folks that are going to be, when it comes to communication, more direct. Okay, they're direct. This is how they're perceived. So the right side of the quadrant, they come on strong. They take the social initiative. It's them making the first move. They create that powerful first impression. Okay. They tend to be assertive. They're fast paced. When I mean fast paced, it's how they walk, it's how they talk, it's how they make decisions, it's the way they act. They like more of a faster pace. When it comes to risk, decisions, and change, they will act more quickly, decisively, and sometimes spontaneously. Okay. Their inner drive is to achieve as much as possible. These are the Larry Cable guys. Get her done. Let's get her done and move on, right? We got to be able to keep up with their pace. They easily become impatient with others who can't keep up with their pace. They respond immediately. They're going to ask a few questions. They prefer to make statements. And, the job is done, but it's good enough. It's good enough. Let's move on. We don't need to sit here and continue to tweak it. So those are the direct individuals. Let's flip the side. Okay. Let's look at indirect. So indirect, they're quiet. They're more reserved. They have a slower pace. They're less assertive. Okay. They're supportive. These are easygoing people. Okay. They tend to be security conscious. They're moving slowly. They're going to meditate on their decisions. They're going to slowly sleep on it. They're going to think about it. These are the risk avoiders. They will check. They will double check. They will do their due diligence. Okay. They don't want to be wrong. They will ask questions more than talk. They'll also listen. Okay. These are big listeners. They tend to reserve their opinions. When you ask them to take a stand, they're going to make tentative statements. Well, if this happens, we'll see all of that. When they approach risk, decisions, and change, very cautious, very methodical. These people are patient. And when it comes to getting the job done, it's not done until it's just right. It's got to be perfect. So I'm going to pause there. Now you've decided, are you supportive open or you control guarded? You already made that decision. Now figure out, are you direct or more indirect? Where would you place yourself there? So hopefully now you have placed yourself in one of these 4 quadrants. Any questions so far? Feel free to put it in the chat. Any questions? Okay. Well, feeling good about yourself. Hopefully you're feeling good about yourself. You should be. Because when it comes to these quadrants, and you look at these quadrants, no one's style is better than the other, and we're all okay. We're all okay. They all make great managers. They all make great people on a team. They just behave differently. So I need you to say this with me and say it out loud. You can say it to yourself, but no one's style is better than the other, and we're all okay. So if you're in a room or wherever you are, say it in your mind, say it out loud. No one's style is better than the other, and we're all okay. Because we hear some things that it's like, is that really me? Is that really not me? Okay, so let's just figure it out from here. Everyone has a dominant style. Okay, this is the style that you identify with the most often. Where do you find yourself? Where are you most comfortable? So we looked at where we are. Now, each quadrant is going to have 2 pieces to it. You'll either be supportive and open and maybe indirect. Supportive and open and direct. Same way with control or guarded. If control and guarded, maybe you're indirect there. Control or guarded, maybe you're direct. You're going to land up in one of these 4 quadrants. Now, a lot of times when we look at quadrants and we look at behavioral styles or personality styles or whatever, a lot of times there's words that go in these quadrants or there's colors, right? I can't do that, right? I'm gonna have some fun with this today and we're gonna look at birds. So guess what? You came to class today to find out what bird you are. All righty, so let's have some fun here. Our first, top left. If you put yourself in the top left, you are a dove. So I want to hear, when you hear the word dove, what are some things that you hear? What are some things you think of when you hear the word dove? Dove. Peaceful, gentle, loving it, loving it. Yeah. Calm, peaceful. It's the bird of peace. It's the bird of peace. Absolutely. So now let's talk about this dove. Thank you, folks, for adding in those comments. So let's talk about this dove. The dove is supportive. They're also indirect. The dove are also our relators. They relate to people. So if I was to put a word in their box, they would be relators. Okay. They are the skilled diplomats. They're relationship oriented. They're supportive. They're reliable. They're pleasant. Okay. They ask more than they tell. Their key desire, to no surprise to any of you that answered, harmony, safety, security. They love close one on one relationships. These are the true people. Okay? Loyal, reliable, true team players. They are the glue that hold teams and relationships together. We love these people. If they had a motto, it would be, why can't we all just get along? Why can't we all just get along? You know, if they had a theme song, it would be, you got a friend. We are family or whatever the world. Okay, that's where they are. They are the best listeners. When you're excited, they're excited. When you're sad, they'll cry with you or they'll even cry for you. Okay, now they do have a couple of problem areas. They're also perceived as being complying, retiring, soft hearted, or maybe slower in speech. Okay, they don't like conflict. They don't like to rock the boat. They tend to go along with things even if they don't want to. But you know what? They'll resent you for it. They don't like constructive feedback. They still see it as feedback and they still see it as criticism. They hate confrontation and they don't like working with dictatorial people. So there's our dove. But they're okay. We need them on our team. We need them on our team. Everybody needs to have doves on their teams. Beautiful. All right, let's look at our next bird. Our next bird, as we go through here, is going to be in the top right quadrant, and that's a peacock. Woohoo! What do you think of when you think of a peacock? Look at that peacock. What do you think of when you think of that peacock? Joey. Very good, Melanie. I like it. Showy, noticeable, outgoing. Yep. Great. Thank you, Diana Robert. Yeah, absolutely. Pretty as a peacock. We've heard that phrase. Okay. These are our socializers. If I was to give them a name, they are socializers. These are your socializers in your group. So start thinking of other folks that you know, and would you put them there as a more of a socializer? All right. So these socializers, they're optimistic, they're animated, right? Just like that peacock, they tell stories. These are the antidote people. They express their opinion readily. Their key desire, I want to have fun. They didn't take fun out of the workplace. They want excitement, applause, visibility. Okay, they want recognition. Okay, they talk about their favorite subject. Me, right? Their motto, hey, here, we know these people. Hey, you couldn't start without me. So here I am. So let's go. Let's get this party started. Right? Their song would be celebration, right? Celebrate good times, right? That's where they are. These folks have the gift of gab. They have the power of persuasion. They have the ability to get people excited about their ideas. This is the only group that'll win an argument without even knowing what they're talking about. They're best at inspiring others to act. They're upbeat. They think fast on their feet. They're great at promoting ideas. Okay? They're seen, though, and perceived as excitable, impatient, not good at details. They will digress from a conversation. Okay? They don't like doing the same things over and over again. They don't like restrictions. They don't like routines. They don't like formal reports. I got to do a report? You want me to do this report or you want me to do my job? I want to go do my job and have some fun. All right. So there's your peacock. So you click and put yourself in that upper top right corner. Peacock. Love ya. We're all okay. We're all still good. All right, let's now jump and we're going to go down to the bottom. So let's go to the bottom left, the owl. All right, what's your thought process here with this owl? What do you think about that owl? What comes to your mind? Mhm. Okay, some stuff coming in. Here we go. Wise, absolutely. That wise old owl, the overseer. Yeah, they're looking through that field, seeing everything. Nocturnal. Yeah, they'll come at night, quietly watching. Like that too, Travis. Very good. So thank you, Robert, Melanie, Travis. Loving it. Yes, the owl, the owl. So they're now on the control guarded plane, but they also have indirect communication. So look at where they are. So wise old owl there. They're diligent. They're persevering. They're highly inventive. Okay. They create systems. They're great at creating systems. They love facts. They're detailed oriented. They will dive into the details. Okay. They're have a very focused conversation. Okay. Their key desire, I need order, I need accuracy, I need precision, right? Just like that owl's eyes, precision. They love perfection. Their motto would be there's a place for everything, everything's in its place, right? If they had a song, probably wouldn't be words. It'd probably be jazz or classical, probably like Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Da-da-da-da, right? Very precise, very accurate. All right. Their favorite person would probably be Sergeant Joe Friday from Dragnet, right? Just the facts. Just give me the facts. These people are great planners, problem solvers, organizer. They are the most intellectual of all styles. If you need something done, and done right, give it to a thinker. If you need it done on time, you might want to think again, right? Big, that's where they are. Now, on the flip side, they also come across as they will procrastinate until it's perfect. It's got to be perfect. They're very righteous, they're very rigid, and steady monotone delivery. That's how they are perceived. So you've got the owl. Every every different style has its pluses and it has its opportunities. Okay. But it's good to know how we are perceived, how we come across, right? Because that, again, is a behavior and we can change our behaviors, right? Behaviors we can change. That's not a problem. I have to know what I am. And if I can understand what you are, then I can change and adapt into this. All right, well, let's not leave out our bottom right quadrant. So down here in the bottom right, we get the eagle. All right, what's your thought on that eagle? When you hear eagle, what do you begin to think about? Let's fill up that chat. What do we got here for our eagle? Fierce, strong. Thank you, Dana. Yeah, Michelle's right there with you. Strong, powerful. Yeah, they got those talons, right? They'll dive down. Anyone else want to chime in? Yeah, that eagle. If I gave a name to an eagle, it would be a director. So these are our directors. Okay. They're positive. Some of their positives are that they're firm, they're delegators, they are productive, they are very results oriented. Right? They create that whole sense of urgency to get things done. Lots of verbal conversation. Their key desire, results, bottom line. What's the bottom line? How am I going to get there? Right? So they're very driven, very focused on that. Okay. Their motto, I want it done. I want it done right. I want it done now. Better yet, if you could have given it to me yesterday, perfect. All right. That's where your eagle is. Okay. If they had a song, I did it my way. Right. They're in a hurry. These are your fast movers, your fast walkers, your fast talkers. Okay. They can juggle a lot of things at the same time and they do it very well. Okay. They're good administrators, good delegators. These are the people that work great under pressure. Give them deadlines. They play to win. They play to win. Now, how are they perceived? They are perceived as uncompromising, as overbearing. Sometimes they come across as pressuring, right? They're blunt to the point. They are the weakest listener. Why do I need to listen? I already know the answer. So there is our eagle. All right. All right. Everybody okay? Were you feeling good? Any questions? Any questions? Let's go. Let's go to chat. Who's got a question? Who has the first question? Are you feeling okay? You can give me that emoji, thumbs up. No, I hope no one's crying. We gotta have thumbs up. We're all good. Remember, we're all okay. All right, loving it. Need another bird. Sorry, Catherine, you got one of four. You're gonna fall into one of these four. Okay. And again, you may not have all of the characteristics, but you may say, that mostly sounds like me. That mostly sounds like me. So I love it. So, like I said, we may not, if I'm really, if I'm really honest with myself, then yeah, this is where I am. This is where I fall into. So let's go back though, and we'll have some fun. We're going to open up the chat. All right. So there's all the birds together. So you fell into one, you've got one, and here we are. So altogether, this is what we look like on our board. So again, your dove is your relator. Your peacock are our big socializers. The owls are the thinker, and the eagles would be that delegator. They all have their own pluses. They all have their own opportunities. Again, they're perceived differently. Yeah. Feel good about where you are. It's okay. Now that you know about these others, we're going to talk about how do I adapt more to them and how do I get along with them. Okay, so we will look at all of that as we continue on and look. So, yeah, every situation, yeah, you will have a different bird. You are absolutely right, Patty, because we do. It's our behavior. We adjust our behavior to that setting, to those individuals. Because at work, I'm one way. When I go home, I'm a different way with my husband. And if you ask me how am I with my children, I have to say which one, because I'm different with all three of my girls because all three of my girls have a different behavioral style. And so we have to adapt. You're absolutely correct. So, yeah. So you may find yourself like Diana here as an eagle or a peacock because you may be on that more direct plane. So there's times when you're in control and you're guarded, but then there's times when you're supportive and open. And we're going to talk about in more detail about how these styles relate to each other and how they can communicate better with each other, especially when they're on your teams. So, yeah, yeah. Owl love systems. Yeah, you got to. We do. So we need our owls. We need those folks that love all the details because there's others that it's like, glad you got that because that's not my strength. All right. So let's go back and let's look at winning. So in your chat here, I'm going to ask you, when it comes to winning, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. What bird would say that? See how well you did. Little pop quiz here. Yeah, you guys got it. You guys have got it, right? Yeah, it is that eagle. Absolutely. That is the eagle. Yeah, beautiful. All right, let's look at our next one. It's not whether you win or lose, it's the teamwork and friendships that count. What's my bird there? Who feels like that? Oh, look at that. You guys are good. You guys are good. Let's go. Let's see what we've got here. Of course, it's the dove. It's not whether you win or lose, it's how you look when you play the game. Who's doing that? Yeah, of course, right? That peacock strutting their tail feathers, right? You those peacocks when they ask you out, if you're a different style, right? If they, hey, do you want to go out tonight? Sometimes we're hesitant because there's going to be dancing and it may be on top of a table. So we don't want, some of us may be a little bit more uncomfortable than that, but they're the party people. Okay. There, it's where they are. Let's go. Let's have a good time. And it's not whether you win or lose, it's how you play the game. And of course, that's going to go to our wise old owl. There you go. Thank you, Travis. I'm glad I got an owl in the crowd, and that is nice. Yeah, me the owl. There you go. You got to have those rules. So Diane said, sometimes we go into different styles, and a few of you have said that you're not always in one style. You do have to change. You do have to adapt. So I'm loving that because you're absolutely right. We do go ahead and we adapt, just like, because we have to. Those are the things that are happening to us. So, Patty had said that situational is different in a different setting, and I may be a different bird. But let's talk about how easy is it for us to really change? Okay. So if I am that dove, if I am a dove, it's easy for me to go ahead and talk to my peacock buddies over there. So I'm a dove, supportive, open plane, and I'm on the supportive and open plane, and that makes me available to talk to the peacock. I get a little bit more comfortable talking to peacock, even though they're direct, but we're both supportive, we're open with feelings. Okay. And then it's also easy for me to drop down because on the indirect plane along with me is the wise old owl. So that becomes very easy. So it's easier for me to communicate with those folks. Now, for our peacock is on the direct side. They're supportive and open. So, of course, they're going to be able to go over and talk with their buddy the dove. But then they're also going to be able to drop down, being direct, have communication with that eagle, and be comfortable in that because they're both direct. Okay. Now the owl, just flip it around. We're always forming indirect communication. I'm gonna go talk to my dove. They're also indirect. But because I'm in control and guarded with my feelings, I'm also comfortable going and talking to my eagle buddy. And then my eagle, he goes up to the peacock. Again, direct communication, control and guarded. He will stay with the owl. Well, when it comes to stress, we will land in our most dominant one. But as we're looking at this, the folks that we're going to have the most problems with are the ones directly opposite with me. Because if I am a dove and I want everything peaceful, and I'm indirect and I'm open with my feelings, and I'm going to go have a conversation with an eagle who is controlled, guarded, very direct, I may get my feelings hurt, and I got to be prepared for that. And now it's the same way when the eagle talks to the dove. The eagle is going to say, okay, I can't go in full talons out and attack my dove buddy. I still need my dove. They're good people. You still need them. Same way now you've got your peacock on your owl. Totally different personalities. It's a bigger stretch for you because you're going from control, guarded, indirect communication to I'm more supportive. I'm open with my feelings and I'm going to squawk like a peacock. I'm going to tell you how I feel. Okay. And it goes backwards then to the owl. So those are the ones that you will find yourself in most conflict with, going into a meeting, being part of a team that I'm interacting with. Who are these folks? And now, how are we all going to get along and be productive? But under stress, we will go to our dominant style. So, doves. Under stress, if you put a dove in stress, make sure we give them personal assurance. Make sure that there's a slower pace for comfort and security. Okay? We know that at times we can have stressful work environments. Okay? Their biggest fear is being abandoned because remember how they're perceived: quiet, shy, all of that. And so their biggest fear is I'm going to be forgotten about. I'm going to be abandoned. Yeah, you're not even going to know who I am. Okay. Under stress, the owl. Okay. They need to have an understanding of the principles. They need to understand the details. They want a slower pace. They need time to process all of this information. They need you to give them accurate data. Their biggest fear is making a mistake. Why would I make a mistake? You gave me the data. You gave me the information. I can't be wrong. This is what the data says. Okay, that's where they're coming from. Okay, now we're going to look at that peacock. Under stress, they need to get credit. They need to have actions and interactions. They want quick pace for stimulation. They want to be excited. Okay, their biggest fear: being ignored or bored. It's going to be tough to ignore a peacock because they will squawk. But if you bore them, they're just going to walk off into the field. Okay, they're going to find somewhere else where they can wag their tail feathers. Under stress for the eagle. Okay, they need control of the situation in and of themselves. Okay, they need tangible evidence that things are progressing along. Okay, they want that fast pace moving towards accomplishments. I've got to see that we are moving along. Okay, that we're going to hit our goal because they will have mapped out, I should be here by this time. I need to be here to get this done. Okay, their biggest fear: losing control. Everybody just flies off, and now I've lost control. So that's their biggest fear. So we think about that now as I'm starting to communicate with them. So, what about in this world of email and text and other forms of communication? So, in written communication, our dove. Our dove is going to be chatty. They're friendly. Remember, these are our informal folks. So they're going to be chatty. They're going to be friendly. They will inject names. Okay. They will reference others or past events. Okay. So look for that in emails. Is it more of an informal approach? Is it more of a friendly approach? How are they doing? And again, they just may be adapting to others. But you can tell, again, these are signals that they're sending you as to when you're getting emails from them. Okay. Your owl in written communication. Okay. We want to make sure that it's formal, that it's precise. They will list key points when they send you an email. They will have a heading. They will have subheadings. They'll use an outline. You'll get a table. You may get a pie chart. You'll have facts. You'll have figures. You'll have all of the data there. Okay. So you've got that when you're looking at that owl on just the way that they send out emails. You know, written communication with your peacock, it's often vague and abstract. Okay, they're inclined to be idea oriented. So I was thinking about this, and it's going to take them a while to get to the point. And if it's taken a while to get to the point, you know who's thinking about, can we just get to the point here and get along with this, right? So, but they will be lengthy to get to the point. Okay, it's one way to know I got a peacock sending me a message. Okay, eagle. Be brief, be to the point. Be brief, be bright, be gone. There's your eagle. Be brief, be bright, be gone. I don't want to read through all the fluff. You don't need to know how I'm feeling. Okay, remember where I am on that plane. I'm controlled and I'm guarded with my feelings. You don't need to know how I'm feeling. Get to the point. Tell me what you need. Let's go. They will often print off an email or they'll send you back your own email. And instead of typing up something else, they will cross off what you've said, made notes on it, and then just reply to you that way. Okay, so those are those folks. All right. I'm going to pause, see if there's any questions out there. And Diana's going to help me there with the chat to see if I've got any questions so far.
No questions so far, Maureen.
Okay, we're looking good then. All right, beautiful. Well, let's have some fun. Let's see if there's any Star Trek folks out there. All right, get onto your chat. You're ready here. So here's our communication styles. Now think about the main characters there in Star Trek. Who would be our dove? So who would we put up there in that upper left quadrant? Who would be the relator in Star Trek? What do you think? Anybody got a guess? Any Trekkies out there? Oh, Doc. I got Doc, I got Scotty, I got a few. Well, the real answer is right here. Okay. Dr. Bones McCoy. So very good. We have a winner with Amy. Thank you. All right. So who would be our peacock? Who is our peacock there in Star Trek? Who would you put as the peacock? All right, think about your four styles. So who is the socializer, the peacock, the socializer? Because now we also have the thinker and the director. So who is our, that was Scotty. So think about Scotty and the role that he played. He was more of the socializer. So let's go to the bottom left. Who is our owl? Who is the big thinker there on Star Trek? There you go. Robert's got it right off first, quick. Spock. That Spock. Spock is the one. So then that leaves our director. Who is the director? Who is the leader of the Starship Enterprise there, right? So there we go. Yeah, Kirk. So now we got Captain Kirk. So just a little fun there. So now as we move into our next session, just a few minutes that we have left, we're going to look at how do we go ahead now and become better communicators with you. So we're going to, so if I am not a dove, or if I am a dove and I need to communicate with another dove, support my feelings, have that personal interest in me. Assume everything is going to be taken personally. Okay. When we disagree, discuss personal feelings. For some on that lower bottom quadrant, that's going to be tough. Okay. You've got to give them time to trust you. Okay. They're informal. You need to become more informal. You need to slow down your manners and actively listen. They want you to minimize the risk. Okay. They want to know that there is minimal risk involved, right? A lot of times we can't give that to them, but we have to be very upfront and very realistic with this. Above all, make sure we're warm and sincere. That's what they want. They want to know that you have feelings. Now, remember, the bird that's hardest for them to communicate with or receive communication from is the eagle. So for my eagles, be warm, sincere, actively listen. It's not your greatest strength, but we got to listen here and provide minimum risk. Okay, so when communicating with the dove, that's where we are. Now we go ahead and we will look at that peacock. No, I'm going to jump to owl. Let's go to owl. I like owl. Support their organized, their organized thoughts. And remember, for them, there's a place for everything. Everything. They want you to be systematic. They don't like chaos. They don't like clutter. When they walk into your office and you've got papers all over the place, they just want to turn around and leave. They're flying the coop. They want you to list advantages and disadvantages. They want the factual evidence. We want solid, tangible facts. Okay. They would also love it if you could give them guarantees that their actions can't backfire. All right. You've got the data. This is all the data. And remember, they're going to be slow because to make a decision, your owls are the group that will get paralysis through analysis because they always know there's more information out there. You just haven't given it to me. You're holding back. So above all, we've got to be thorough. We've got to be well prepared, give them what they need. So if I'm going to speak to an owl, I'm going to go in with my facts, my data. I'm going to have things listed out. If I give it to them the way they need it, they're happy. I'm going to get more work done. We're going to be that much more productive. Okay? Communication with our peacock. Okay. So these are the big pie in the sky people. This is what I want. They're the ones when you say, hey, we're going to do an outing, we're going to have an event. They're the ones that want the fireworks. They want the laser show, right? They want everything to be showy. In the meantime, you've got the owl over there going, we got a budget here, people. We got a budget. You're going to blow the budget on this. Right? And then you got your dove saying, why can't we all get along? And the eagle and the owl just saying, please, people, let's just get her done. So, don't hurry the discussion. Don't argue. We've got to agree on specifics. Tell them in writing what is it that's moving. Okay, use testimonials, incentives. Above all, be interested in. Remember their favorite subject. Me, right? It's all about me. So be interested in them. There's your eagle. Support their goals, their objectives. Be businesslike. Be professional when you're walking in. If you disagree, argue facts. Recognize their ideas. Don't recognize them personally. The bald eagle, they're the national system. They're okay with themselves already. They don't need you to tell them how good they are. They just want you to recognize their ideas and say, yep, let's do this. Okay, provide alternative solutions. So, if I'm disagreeing, I'm going to argue facts. I'm going to say, well, have we thought about this? Can we go down this way? Okay, be precise, efficient, well organized. Above all, an eagle will love you when you're communicating with them if you are efficient and you are competent. Now, improving our communications with all of these. So, doves. Doves, you can communicate better. Can communicate better with your peacock and your eagle over here on the direct plane by picking up the pace, becoming more assertive. Doves, state your opinions more forcefully. Be willing to reach and get out of your comfort zone when dealing with these direct styles. To communicate with your owls, eagles, and dove, they should focus less on relationships, more on feelings. Concentrate on the results. Okay, so you got to move away from all the feeling. You're the feeling people. You're the people. You love people. Okay, peacocks. My peacocks here increase their ability to communicate. They got to learn to control their time, learn to control your expressions, your emotions. Okay, concentrate on task, concentrate on improving follow through, regain the trust of the folks down here that are controlled and guarded, your eagle and your owl. Okay, when relating to the dove and the owl that are indirect, resist the urge to interrupt. Because remember, the peacocks, they're gonna squawk. Don't overpower them. When dealing with controlling eagles and owls, spend more time checking, verify. Remember, these are the peacocks. They're the ones that are going to jump from place to place. They don't like mundane things. Okay, our owls. Okay, you can improve your communications by supporting your doves and your peacocks by openly showing concern and appreciation. Hey, I appreciate you. I love what you did. All right, we gotta open up to them. We gotta find that feeling there in you. Compromise with others. That's tough. The owls have got data. This is what the data says. But sometimes we've got to come to that compromise. And instead of it being just exactly perfect right, we may have to give a little there. Okay. Yeah, eagle, peacock, owl move faster, pace, present information in highlights. Okay, not the detailed analysis. You've already done the analysis. Owl, we love you for that. But again, eagle wants it. Be brief, be bright, be gone. Okay, the peacock, is it going to be fun? Is it going to be exciting? Is it pretty? All of that. Eagles, when it comes time for you to improve your communication with your owls and your doves over here on your indirect side, you got to listen. We got to improve those listening skills. Yes, you may know what's going to come next. Let them say it. Okay. Slow your pace, become more relaxed. Okay. With your doves and your peacocks up here on the supportive plane, give them sincere compliments. Take time to develop those relationships, because the key to all of this is with effective communication and successful relationships is I got to be able to say, which bird am I? Figure out which bird you are. And now, how am I going to adapt? And we said, these are behaviors. We can change our behaviors, right? And that's where we are. So treat people the way they want to be treated. Our platinum rule. And that is our presentation for the day. Thank you. But I'll open it up to any questions. We've got a few minutes left if we want questions. We got 2 minutes. So Jay, I'll kick it back to you as we come up
All
here on
right.
top of the hour.
Well, Maureen, thank you so much for that. I knew it was going to be great, and you exceeded expectations again, as usual. For everyone else out there, thank you for joining us. At the end of the day, if people ask you what you learned today, you can tell them, "I now know what kind of bird I am." So that was a lot of fun. I know what kind of bird I am now. I'm not going to share it, but I have been known to dance on a table or two back in my day. But Maureen, thank you for everything. Folks, thank you for being with us today. If Laurel Ridge Workforce Solutions can do anything to help you with your training, please let us know. We'd love to get with you. And remember, a copy of this will be sent to everyone as well. So thank you for everyone for joining us. Maureen, thank you again. Everyone have a great rest of your day.
All right. Thank you all. Bye now.